Okay, so this is going to be our little lap for the tip of that Edgefinder, and this is just a piece of brass, about 10 millimeter square, 3/8 square. I just want to dust these ends off and square them up just to make it nice. So here's the situation. You know, we're off center, but it's going to be just fine. So, and you know, I don't even care about the length of this thing. It doesn't really matter. This is just to give me a datum here. A datum and a burr. The gauge off right. Like I said, it's just you know, kind of workman-like tendencies, right? That you know, we trim the end of it off, and then we can reference something. You know, I'm just looking at the end until it cleans up. You know, it's pretty good. Okay. So we're going to set up and drill a hole, and we're going to slot into the hole. Actually, we're going to drill and precision bore that hole, and then slot it and do some other stuff. So let me get set up with the drill. Okay, so we're all set up here. I got the little boring head, little tiny boring tool, pilot hole that's undersized by, I don't know, 20,000, something like that. So we got to measure that hole carefully because it's important that it's very close to the diameter that we're lapping, okay? And the reason I'm boring it is that makes the hole very, very round and very, very straight, which is the other thing that's important, okay? So we got a couple ways we can do it. This is a small hole gauge here, a spherical type, and we can put that in the hole, and it behaves like a telescoping gauge, okay? And we expand it. Now this is a transfer tool, so we're transferring this dimension, and then we measure over this with a micrometer. Okay. The other way is if you have a set of plug gauges, and this is a I don't know, 60 thousandths to 1/4 inch set, and they're actually relatively inexpensive, the imports in particular, and you know, they're pretty easy to verify with a good micrometer, so it's okay in my opinion to buy the imports. But so this is another great way because you're actually fitting something in there, and so you get a good sense of that, and that's another good way to gauge small holes. So we're gonna kind of try both here and see what we get. So now you notice that this is, you know, I don't know, I'd say kind of far away, and I'll be using a fair amount of quill travel. I'm not particularly worried about that, but the reason is so I can get this darn thing in there, and I don't have to come in at an angle or offset this in X or Y so that I can get at this. You know, for fine boring, I really want to kind of stay on location, so my hole, there's no irregularities in the hole, even, you know, tiny amounts. So okay, so let's get to it here. Let me zoom in a little bit, and let's do some boring. All right, first step, we're going to come down and look at that surface, and I'm going to zero my my quill readout just so I know when I'm through the part. And then the next deal, oops, let's lock that thing. Put it neutral. I gotta get out to my hole there. All right. I'm looking for just a little scratch. There we go. Alright, so I got a tiny little scratch. Then I'm going to dial in a couple of mils, thousandths of an inch that is, not millimeters. Alright, and I think we are ready to bore. Not quite. Alright, here we go. There she goes. Alright, that's a nice smooth looking hole, look at that. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna measure this. I'm trying to do this without getting my big mitt in the way there. See if I can do this one-handed and make some sense out of it. So what I'm looking for, there's a nice frictional fit there, okay? And now we'll doink right into the boring tool. Measure over it with a micrometer and get a number. 95, okay. 2, 4, let's do that. All right. Come down and do some more. Yeah, that tool cuts nice. Try it again. Okay, so actually we're pretty close here, so this one probably will go. Yep. And in my experience, there's nothing like putting a pin gauge in a hole that's well fitted. You really get a good sense of it, how it is. In fact, this goes in pretty easy. And this one might actually even go too. No. Because, these are minus gauges, so this is going to be a teeny bit smaller than the nominal size on the gauge. This says 200 thousandths. But it's slightly undersized because it's a minus gauge. We're knocking on the door there. So now the tricky part is to just make a very tiny adjustment to get to the last bit. Okay. Okay. So theoretically, this should be the finished pass. I'm gonna make the tiniest of tiny adjustments there. Try to anyway. The nerve-wracking part, right? Okay, so let's see if we get a cut out of that. Oh yeah. So it's dust basically. So. Okay. Alright, so let's see here. What is that? That's the 199. That's the 200. And there it goes. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty good. So let's try this. Okay, I think that's okay. So this is a couple of tenths over 200 here because we left some material for lapping, okay? But what we're going to do is we're going to split that. So I think that's okay. Well, let me think about this for a sec. It's going to shrink down. I might take one more little pass out of that. Well, let me think about it for a sec. That's the 200. That should go. Yep. And you can see it's like right there. All right. So, next question is there a little narwhal go in there? Oh yeah. Okay, so it's like right there. It's starting. I can pop it out. This has a very crisp, sharp edge on it, so it's kind of probably gouging that a little bit, but I don't know, it looks okay. We're going to split this, and we're going to drill and tap a hole in here so we can change the pressure on that circular part. So I think we're there. So I'm going to flip this and drill and tap it, and then we'll split it, and then we'll go do some lapping on Mr. Narwhal here. All right, we're going to drill and tap a little hole out here to clamp, and I'm just deciding how far in to set that. What I'm going to do is the diameter, I'm just going to set that in so that it's all the way on the part, and I'm just going to scale this a little more than 1/8, it looks like. I don't know, 1/8 inch would work. I kind of want it out near the edge. Let's do, we got plenty of room, so let's do 150 thousandths. Okay, all right. So. So then we're going to drill halfway with a, this is a body clearance drill for the that thread. I'm just going to come over here, zero my my readout. Okay, come back there, and I'm going to drill halfway with this. Right. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, what's half of that anyway? Okay, that's half. And then we're going to tap it. All right. For that, I am going to put a whisper of oil on that. Oh, shit. Well, there's a problem. Damn it. Damn it, Jim. Well, I didn't break the tap, at least. Got a crooked ass hole, though. Shit. Alright. Oh, I did break the tap. Look at that. Son of a bitch. Well, you know what? Sometimes you get frickin' lucky. Look at that. God. Unbelievable. Well, so there's a lesson for you. I didn't have it clamped very tight in the vise. So, but the machining gods actually smiled on me. Look at this. All right, well, you know what? I'll chase it. It's still going to work. I can't believe it. Sometimes you get lucky, guys. That's all I can say. Well, like I said, all I can say is sometimes you get lucky because this thing works fine, and it's even, I mean, you can look at it, it's even straight, so I don't know how I pulled that off with that bozo move. So anyway, like I said, sometimes you get lucky. I didn't have the vise tight, or very tight. You know, it's a small part, so I was just, you know, lightly clamping it, but I should have gronked on it a little more. But anyway, all's well that ends well here. So we're going to lay out a center line there, and then we're going to saw very carefully to the center of that, and then part of the other side there a little bit. So, you know, sometimes in this situation, what you do to make a good clamp is you put a hole, a small hole back here too, and then you saw through here, and then you saw through here. So you know what, let's go ahead and do that. I'll just poke a little hole right there, and then we'll just do it the super nice way, okay? Okay. Pop into it, and it's not gonna, there it goes. All right, let's get out of there. Okay. Do a little deburring, and then we're ready to try this little guy. All right. It's our lucky lap here. I shortened the screw a little bit so it's not sticking through. You hold this with your hand, so I didn't want any sharp edges, so I kind of rounded some of that stuff off. And then there's the this that fits in there. Okay, so you can see that it goes in there, but there's no play. Okay, and then the tiniest bit of tension on this screw, and this thing locks up. Okay, and so you adjust this, and they mutually, or this corrects this, and we're gonna be stroking this with an abrasive in there. Okay, and you come off about a half or a third, and you come off about a half or a third, you go back, and this is rotating, and that randomization of that takes the high spots off, and then we can change the diameter of that very, very slowly, and get down to as close as you care, well, as close as you can measure in generally the average shop. So or actually above average. You can work to millionths if you're very careful, and you can get the feedback on your measurements. So all right, so we're ready to lap. We'll get this set up so we can spin it. All right, you guys ready to do some lapping? We got our lap here. I've calibrated my my micrometer on a gauge block, 200 thousandths gauge block. Okay, so we're good to go on the measuring. So we're going to put some stuff on it here. This is a 6 micron diamond here. And put some on the lap too. And it's in a suspension here, so let's get it going here. All right. Get a little tension on that. Okay. Speed set, let's go. I did a little initial one there. Let me get a wiper. Just to see what we got there. Now, what I'm worried about is that I've left too much on here, for the grit that I have. Okay, so it hasn't changed appreciably. All right, so this may take a little while because I don't have any. I have some coarser stuff, but it's a different compound, and I don't want to. Well, I don't know. We'll see. Let's just go for it. I've adjusted the tension of the lap a little bit. And I'm overlapping the ends. I'm coming off and on to the, you know, halfway or so. Yeah, the lap is there's a little bit of tension, or it wants to rotate, so let's see here. Try that. And you can see there's stuff coming off. And look at that finish. Okay, so we're doing something there, guys. I mean, that's a really nice finish. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh yeah, oh okay, this might go pretty good then. Alright, a little bit more. I'll shoot this from a couple different angles so you guys can see it all. Do some wider shots too. All right. Get it on there. Okay. So it's a small diameter, so you got to be careful because, you know, overall there's not much material to come off, right? You know, because it's a small diameter, right? So let's see. And then, you know, it's going to also because of my hand heat, you know, we're measuring tiny amounts here. And I'm going to need to let it cool off from time to time. Although it doesn't feel warm to the touch, my hand heat can make that expand a little bit. So let me change camera angles. So it's easier to, it's best to take it off while it's running. That way you don't make wipe marks as you unwind it off when it's stopped. And then it's a lot easier to put on when it's stopped. Okay, so that's something to remember there. Oh yeah, we're sneaking up on it. Okay. I put this this little bit darker carpet under here just so that white wasn't blowing out the universe there. The white was just really it's just paper to absorb, you know, the dribbles of this abrasive, but, all right, that should stay, that'll be all right. Put a little tension on that, here we go. Alright, well, sneaking up on it. You know, in retrospect, I probably would have ground on the surface grinder a little more off than I did, but, you know, better to have a little extra material to work with than not enough. And I'm going to order some a little bit coarser diamond lapping juice. All right, let's finish. All right, let's give it a check here. All right, so, we're getting into the uncertainty of the measurement range here now, right, below a tenth. So, that's showing 50 millionths or whatever. For practical purposes for an Edgefinder, that's probably good. I am tempted to hit it exactly, though. You know what? Let's just go for it. We're just going to go for it. Let's give it another one more run here with the lap. Okay. See if we can split that. All right. Whatever that is, I think is what it's going to be. Gotta love that finish, though. Man, God. Wish you could get that right off the grinder. Once again, I probably warmed it up a little bit. Yeah, because it's reading the same. Yeah, it's reading the same. It's reading the same, so I'm going to let it sit for a little while. And, come on, there it is. Okay. And let it sit for a little while, then I'll measure it again. Okay, I'm not messing with it anymore. That's it, done. Okay, so next up here, in fact, you can barely see it now, the little seam there. We're going to lap those two faces to mate with one another really good. Super smooth, that is, so that they slide on one another to do the jumping part. Yeah, look at that finish. That finish looks actually lousy compared to that one, so but that's actually a really good ground finish, so oh well. All right, next I got to take it apart. Actually, let me just pop it out while I got you guys here, and you can see how so this portion's threaded here, okay, and so I put a piece of threaded rod all the way down into there and just kind of tightened it up and sandwiched the whole mess there. So we'll take it apart and we'll lap those little monkeys together. All right, so we're doing this flat lapping now, and what I've done is I've mixed up a little bit of the lapping compound. You see it's green, and what it is it's time saver, very fine. This particular stuff kind of dissolves after a while, so it slows the cutting process down and gets finer and finer and then kind of goes away. It's kind of unique among abrasives that way. So we're just, these were ground perpendicular to the cylindrical parts, so all we have to do is just really put a good smooth finish on that. So anyway, so what I'm doing is I just dip it in, get a little on there, and go to town here. And I'm rotating this part a little bit, counter-rotating it in relation, and I'm coming off of the part, in a couple directions, not a lot. See, it's darkening because it's removing a little bit of material, and then we lube up again, go back in, and I'm not really pushing on it I'm not pushing that way very hard. I'm just guiding it. Feels slickery dickory dock right now, I'll tell you. All right, let's get a look at it. This is probably kind of difficult stuff to photograph here. Clean up that little recess there, and you can see how much land I have here on the two parts. There's a little threaded hole in there. Actually, it looks pretty good. So I'm tempted to make the other parts for this and try it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And see how it behaves, you know, as an edge finder. So, oh yeah, that's like a sweet feel there. That's like it feels like a you know, a gauge sliding on a granite surface plate right there. That's kind of what it feels like. It's just slicker than monkey snot. Yeah. All right, well, let's go with that for now. You know, I'm not going to go for the mirror finish on that because I don't think that's quite what we want there. It needs a little bit of what I want to call a tooth, right? So that it builds up a little bit of pressure and then shifts sideways when we get to that spot. So let's do the other parts and we'll put it together and we'll give it a test drive and see how it works. Cool.